Hey everyone, it's Bob Crossan, Senior Managing Editor for Water and Waste Digest. I am here live at the WateReuse Symposium in San Antonio, Texas with WateReuse Association Executive Director Pat Sinicropi. We're going to be talking all about water reuse, some of the primary drivers, regulations, things that are exciting her and her colleagues. So let's dig right in. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me at your conference and event.
Absolutely.
I'm
glad
very
you
much
could be here.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to learning with people here and getting a much deeper dive on the industry, with like the industry within the industry almost. Could you talk a little bit about the state of water reuse in the United States as it stands right now? Some of the primary drivers that are moving things forward.
Well, the state of water reuse right now in the U.S. is growing. And it's growing remarkably fast, I think. Some of the primary drivers, of course, we're seeing scarcity issues, drought in the West is becoming so pernicious and so extreme that most of the Western states are really developing all-in strategies on water recycling. They're finding that they need to keep water where it is, not send it downstream, and they're realizing that they can't import their way out of the problems they're facing. So scarcity certainly is a big driver. But elsewhere in the country, we're seeing aquifer depletion, a big driver. You know, population growth is putting a lot of pressure on underground aquifer water resources.
Yeah.
And a lot of communities are reaching the point where those aquifers need to be replenished, and recycled water, purified water, is a good alternative for them. And then further north, you know, in areas of the country where there's a lot of water, where you don't really think that water supply is an issue, and water supply isn't an issue, that many communities are grappling with these extreme weather events that are putting a lot of pressure on their current infrastructure. And they're realizing that you know, decentralized on-site water recycling systems can help relieve the pressure on their systems and allow their communities to grow and prosper and become more resilient for the challenges that we're facing and with climate change and with extreme weather events. So
yeah,
a lot of drivers.
Yeah, well, and to your point about water scarcity isn't just about the West. Joliet, Illinois was slowly starting to run out of its groundwater aquifer, right? Has to get a new drinking water intake.
Right.
So, I mean, to your point, it's not just, even when you have an abundance, you can have scarcity.
Yeah, you can still be facing scarcity issues. That's exactly right.
So there is funding in the infrastructure bill that was just passed last year,
There is indeed.
directly related to water reuse. How are you guys working with utilities, solutions providers, engineers, consultants, all of these people to try and make sure that we can make the most of this funding?
Well, we're working hard to get the word out that funding is available. We were able to secure over $1 billion for Western water recycling projects and investments, which we're very excited about. But in addition, you know, over $50 billion was allocated to the EPA state revolving fund programs for both clean water SRF and drinking water SRF. And we're making sure our members know about that resource, know that it's available, and how to access it. So we've been working hard with our municipal members, with our business members, and with our general stakeholder community to just make sure that they know that the federal dollars that are available are available to them to make investments quickly and over 4 or 5 years. So
yeah, so it sounds to me from what you're saying, communications could be one of the hurdles here. What are some of the other hurdles that you see for water reuse in the United States? Because communications to me is certainly one of them, but not just within the industry itself, but also with the public about getting buy-in. So could you talk a little bit about what you see as some hurdles?
Well, communications is one, public awareness. We're making strides in that front. The more communities are adopting a water recycling approach, the more their neighbors find out about it, neighboring communities find out about it, and the word spreads from there, that it's a safe, reliable, sustainable source of homegrown water. I'd say networking, regulations at the state level that make it adopting water recycling approaches easier and not confront some hurdles that could otherwise be addressed, if you will, through just smarter regulations. Unnecessary hurdles that suggest that that recycled water is not safe. And so many of our members in states where they're just now beginning to look at their regulations, look at the rules on the books for managing recycled water projects, they're looking at rules that have unnecessary hurdles to allowing communities to adopt water recycling approaches.
Yeah.
So,
I imagine some of it might even be archaic given how fast technology has evolved to make this a possibility.
That's right. So getting the regulations to catch up with the technology.
And the science.
And the science is a big hurdle, I'd say.
Yeah, and then that next step is that public awareness, like you were saying,
public awareness.
So what is exciting you about water reuse? It seems like more so than ever I'm hearing people talking about it in the industry.
Yeah.
Are you witnessing that as well? And what arenas of water reuse are you really excited by right now?
Well, just, geographically, it's amazing the different regions that are really paying attention and developing all-in strategies on water recycling. This past year, we have the City of New York joining our board.
Oh, wow.
Because they see decentralized water recycling systems can really help alleviate some of the pressures they're experiencing on their infrastructure, in their water infrastructure systems. That's tremendously exciting. It's exciting to see communities all along the eastern seaboard turning toward water recycling, replenishing aquifers that they're seeing being depleted by overpumping and by rising sea levels that are putting pressure on those coastal aquifers with saltwater intrusion, overpumping. So that's exciting. And then seeing the interest among the private sector, companies that use a lot of water for a lot of different purposes, processed water, advanced manufacturing, data centers, high technology firms. They're making a commitment to water reuse because they want to be a sustainable, resilient company for the future. And they realize that adopting water reuse and water recycling can help them minimize their water footprint and achieve some of their sustainability goals. So that's also really exciting.
Yeah, I have heard a lot of the drivers in water reuse have been on that industrial privatized side. They're all like, it's a matter of bottom line more so than a utility for them, right?
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting arena. What about regulations? You had mentioned a little bit about how states have different regulations, and some of them can be archaic and whatnot. Are there certain regulations, either nationally or statewise, that you're looking at and keeping tabs on, or is it more just an overarching view you're taking at the moment?
Well, one of the exciting trends that I didn't discussed earlier is the trend toward direct potable water recycling.
Okay.
And many communities have traditionally, when they use water reuse approaches for their drinking water supplies, traditionally they have used an environmental buffer, either an aquifer or a reservoir, to place their recycled water in and then take it up into the drinking water system. A lot of communities are skipping that step and going to direct potable, and so we're tracking the rules and regulations around doing that.
Yeah.
Making sure that the rules are providing the necessary safeguards, but aren't too burdensome that they will diminish the ability of communities to move in that direction. So, so we're tracking some of that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, what about the association? What's next for you guys? Obviously, we're here in San Antonio at your conference, but what's next for the WateReuse Association? What are you guys looking to do in 2022 and beyond?
Well, continue to grow, continue to service our members, continue to engage them in the work that we're doing, and make sure we spread the word about the great funding that's available from the Bipartisan Infrastructure Package, and then really pushing forward on this. On working with our private sector customers to get them into our family and to see how they can become part of the water reuse network. So that's really exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for meeting with me, and for all of you who are watching right now, make sure to check out the video description below. We'll have some links from the WateReuse Association where you can learn a little bit more about it, figure out how to get involved. Please do get involved. It's a very, obviously, cool conference and a cool association to be involved with. So thank you once more, Pat. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Bob. Nice to meet you.